Hello and welcome to the Sunday Shale Show. My name is Mike Chadsey, and today I'm joined by Sean McGarvey from the National Building Trade. Sean, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Give me just a quick synopsis of maybe a little bit about you and your background.
Well, I'm a tradesman who is now an official, the president of the National Building Trade. So I represent 15 international unions, anywhere from plumbers and pipe fitters to electricians. To Boilermakers, you name it, anybody's involved in the construction industry.
Okay. What was your personal trade?
I was a glazer, actually.
Okay.
I did glass and windows and doors and stuff like that.
Okay. And now you're part of the National Building Trades, which
Yes.
is the state, oversees all the state organizations?
Well, actually, United States and Canada.
Oh, really? And Canada as well,
Yes.
too? How many members?
About 3 million.
Wow. And all the different various trades?
Yep, all through the trades.
Okay, so the big conversation that's happening here in Ohio and really across the Midwest is this Keystone XL pipeline. Are you folks engaged in that conversation?
We are very engaged and have been engaged.
What's your take on that?
Well, our take on it is that the time has come for the President of the United States to issue the permit, the final permit leading to the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. Exhaustive reviews have been done. All the precautions have been checked, double-checked, and rechecked. The assessments are out. It's going to do very little additional exposure to the environment. It's time to issue the permit, build the pipeline, and put thousands and thousands of people to work in good paying jobs.
I agree, and hopefully that's going to happen here shortly, especially with your support of really the industry, not just here in Ohio, but across the country.
Absolutely.
So if we take from maybe today and jump with me ahead maybe 5 or 10 years and that pipeline gets built and a lot of the Utica Shale in Ohio and Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania really ramps up, what kind of development or jobs do you see with your folks?
Well, right now we're looking at just with the known quantities of our natural resources, both in shale gas and oil. We're looking at, over the next 25 years, in excess of $3 trillion of investment.
Wow.
It is absolutely phenomenal what's going on, and the repatriation, okay, of our manufacturing capacity, of our petrochemical manufacturing that's currently done offshore, is looking to be bought back because of the abundance and cheap price of the fuel stock that we need to run those operations and create hundreds of thousands and millions of very well-paying jobs, and keep people and lift people in the middle class. So we're really excited.
Absolutely. I think you just hit on it right there, that middle class. It's really not only broadening that base, but hopefully helping people get into that middle class by, I think I've heard you mention, these sustainable, good-paying, hard-working jobs.
Well, there's no question that the middle class over the last 30, almost 40 years has really suffered and deteriorated, and opportunities to join the middle class have just about disappeared in this country. Well, here is a once in several generation opportunity to stabilize the middle class, to put a floor on it, and gas and oil and our natural finds and our natural resources is the way to do it. Not only stabilize the existing middle class, but grow the middle class using this natural resources of our country, the abundance of them, to lift people out of poverty and into middle class. It's really our big shot over a 50-year period.
To make that happen, absolutely. And here's a specific example, if I can just, like for example, that Shale plant, that cracker plant that looks like it's going to go in PA. If you folks were to get involved in some part of that entire process, what kind of man hours do you think you'd be looking at that?
I'm pretty familiar with that project. There's actually estimated 25 million man hours now.
For one project?
For one project.
Wow.
When you consider that in the construction industry, the average construction worker works 1,500 hours a year, do that math on how many jobs are just in that one cracker plant for Shale in Western Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. That's just a great example of something.
And that's one project.
Exactly. One project from one company.
One project.
That's a big deal. So as we continue to ramp up here, and talk to me a little bit about how you are growing not only through folks in the middle class, but maybe your apprenticeship program. How are you getting folks into this so we can start having those qualified?
Well, as we start to ramp up and the needs, of course, we're coming through a horrible situation with a terrible recession over the last 5 years. And in the construction industry, it's been a depression, massive unemployment in the construction industry. But as we start to evolve and come out of that, okay, it's going to require recruitment of new folks. Okay, so what we're doing, engaging a lot, is with the different communities and the different places where we work to say, hey, look, we've got pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs. Let's start taking people that haven't been afforded the opportunities to get into the construction industry, bring them in, give them the prerequisite training, and turn them out as journey people with a set of skills that'll last them a lifetime and keep them in the middle class in the unionized construction industry.
Absolutely, and that'll be a good example of, as we sit here in what is known as the Utica capital here in Canton in Stark County, there's a great example of the building trades working and doing just exactly that, bringing some folks in, giving them the required training, the safety education, knowing how important safety is in the oil and gas industry, and it's good to see that you guys are our partner in that.
Absolutely, and we're excited about it, but it only happens with jobs.
Correct.
You know, and the jobs have to come through the investment that the folks in the oil and gas industry are making, and that leads to the production of manufacturing facilities, petrochemical facilities, you name it, across this region, which is going to create the jobs in the manufacturing sector and in the construction sector.
Absolutely, and you hit on something else too, the partnership that's not always, it's not perfect between the oil and gas industry and the building trades or other organized labor, but it's starting to grow that way because they see the mutual benefit. We can both kind of get together and move this ball down the field, and it's good to see that you see that as well.
For us, I mean, we serve clients, and the folks that are in the ownership of the oil and gas industry, the big multinational companies and the smaller local regional companies, we're in a competitive business, and we need to prove our mettle every day with these clients that we can perform the tasks required on their capital investments for construction and their maintenance of their existing facilities. The fact of the matter that we happen to bring all these other attributes with us, right? Helping regulatory and zoning,
little value add.
financing, absolutely. At the bottom line, for a publicly traded company or a privately held company, you know, they need to know that they're getting value when they work with the building trades. And on top of that, we have a apprenticeship and training system that's probably the best kept secret in the country. But almost 1,500 training centers, $1 billion a year of investment.
Wow.
And if
Just in
training, just in the trades training. So if we were, and that's our money, that's not government money. We're not funded by the federal government or state government or local government.
Okay.
We put money aside amongst our collective bargaining agreement to fund these programs. So if you compared us to a K through 12 school district, we'd be the 5th biggest school district in the country. That's how big it is. And if you compared us to a state university system, we'd be number 3 after University of California and SUNY New York. Unfortunately, we'd even be bigger than Ohio State's system.
Bigger than the Ohio State University?
The Ohio State.
Wow, that's a big statement here in the Buckeye
Over
State.
275,000 people in our training programs.
That's substantial, absolutely. Well, sir, as we kind of close out here, I'd like to get maybe just a final comment or wrap up. Obviously, you're here in Ohio today to talk about the Keystone XL and jobs and overall economic investment, but put a nice little, just closing comment here.
Well, it's time. We believe it's time for America and America first. We've done all the things that are required for us as a world leader. We've traveled the world to protect governments, sometimes friendly, sometimes not so friendly, but it was in our economic and our national security interest. We've deployed, hundreds of thousands of troops, and we've spent ungodly amounts of blood and treasure to protect our energy resources around the world.
Sure.
Well, now's the opportunity to use our resources right here at home and start bringing some of those folks back, start spending a little less money, and God willing, a lot less blood to protect our interest in the future, and do it with a friendly government like Canada, the United States, and right here in North America, and let our economy really take off.
Absolutely. We often say something here, local supply equals less disruptions, less volatility. We can grow it here, we can use it here, that's key. If they want to learn a little bit more about yourself or the building trades, phone number, email address?
They can just go to bctd.org.
Okay.
Check our website out, and all the information about who we are and what we do is right there.
Great. Sean, well, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate the information. And for more information, visit us at eidohio.org. Thank you.